guys, before I begin, I know a lot of you watching right now are already aware of what I'm about to say, but to those of you that are new, yesterday I left my former channel of over 100,000 subscribers. I didn't want to, but it was a situation that I had no control over. I am starting over. I'm so blessed that I'm almost sitting at 8,000 subscribers right now as of in that time, and that the videos are doing so well that I am not monetized. And if you would like to help me in this situation, here's the best thing you can do. Please make sure and like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, hit notifications so you can be notified daily what's coming on the pipeline for you in stimulus money, and as well, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. The more comments, the better, and share this content. If you want to watch this video multiple times, I'd be so happy to have you do that because I have to get to 4,000 watch time hours. As of one day ago, I am a fourth of the way there. We're a quarter of the way there. I am hoping in the next 3 or 4 days we can get monetized. But if you could help me do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. Then I can go back to doing giveaways and doing things for you. Okay, I'm going to stop. On with the show. Hi guys, and welcome to Katie's Insight. This is a show where obviously you can see my bra straps and I don't care because it's virus season. Nobody else is gonna see me. I'm in my house chilling, but y'all, I tell you what, as soon as these videos are done, this is going off. Sweatpants and sweatshirts all day, every day in this house. But guys, today we're gonna be talking about President Trump. As you guys know, unfortunately, he and the First Lady, Melania Trump, have tested positive for the virus, and I want to give you guys updates. Like, I don't know why it was that out of everything in 2020, this was the one where I'm like, I'm done. Like, I don't know. I've had a very non-conventional life in many, many ways and aspects of like my career, my profession, different things I've done, and even like with the kind of health issues I have. So I'm very sensitive to people who have health issues and chronic health issues. But for some reason, I don't know why, out of everything, I didn't expect this. I didn't. And I know it's stupid. I can already hear people in the comments and people going, what'd you think? There's a pandemic, which I agree with. But we've heard so much back and forth rhetoric. All of us, right? We've heard so much back and forth about what's really going on. Is it real or is it a blank theory? Like, you know, like what is actually happening? And unfortunately, you know, I feel like unless you're at the very top, you don't know. So we have to trust these scientists and these experts that we don't fully know if we can trust them. That's my thing is like, you know, because I'll hear people say we have to put our trust in trusted experts. I'm like, you mean the ones that let Flip Michigan happen? You mean the ones that have let women for decades be sick with different types of birth control that for some women are very, very deadly and sick? Which is true. By the way, I know some birth control is a lifesaver for women. Some women have issues and that helps them regulate their hormones. More power to you. I'm happy. But you see my point? How many different things, how many lawsuits do we see on the television because of medical devices or medicine that the government has allowed to come into our system? That's it. All I'm saying is, to me, real hard to trust those experts, right? But I'm of the mindset, I think this is very real. You know, I am concerned about certain things on both sides that I see, and I'll keep it at that because I want to make YouTube happy. But it's been, I know there's been a lot of intense heat and debate, and so I don't think I saw this coming. So this was really, really a shock to me. Now, there is something I'll try to talk about, I'll touch on a little bit later, and that is, on this channel, I don't like to go down blank lane. You guys have heard me talk about this, where you have assumptions or you want to state things that you're not 100% sure are true, but are different types of theories, right? The timing just seems very suspect. That's all I'm going to say. And there are theories about that, which maybe we will dive into at some point. I am not assigning, in saying that, please understand, I'm not assigning blame to anybody because I don't know what's going on. I'm just saying, stuff don't look right. That's it. But then again, it's the government. Nothing ever looks right, right? So here's what I wanted to do, guys. I pulled up several clips to give you guys an overview of an exact timeline of what's going on and where the president is at when it comes to being sick. And I also have a video, please go check out yesterday's video. I have links in the description about what this means for the election. Some people are saying the election is going to be postponed or canceled, or stimulus will be postponed and canceled. So I go into detail in that video about if something happens to the president, what happens to elections, how this could actually go down. If you were to ask me, I think it is possible, but not very likely at all, that they could postpone the election. They've never postponed an election in the past, and a lot of people who are constitutionalists want to raise issue that they've never done it, so they shouldn't do it, but at the same time, we are smarter people than we were 100 years ago. We now don't have, remember Coca-Cola? Do y'all remember what Coca-Cola started out having in it? Think the word coca. I don't want to say because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. They used to have pure coca in this. You know, think Whitney Houston when she's like, crack is whack. That's what they used to have in there. 100 years ago, we let little kids smoke cigarettes and work in factories full time when they're 3. We're smarter. We're better people since then. At least I would like to think. So when I hear people argue that, I'm like, nah, but humanity has to evolve, doesn't it? Otherwise, we would be living to 30 and 40 like we used to. So with saying all of this, I just wanted to give you a complete timeline of what's been going on and what you can hear, because there's a lot of different pieces of news flying everywhere. Let me tell you what I know, and then we'll dive into it. So here's the timeline of what has happened. So the president tested, it wasn't last night, but the night before last night. Well, he had tested that day, found out that Hope Hicks was positive. They removed her, started quarantining people, and then several other people in his cabinet, one by one, are just getting it left and right. Even Kellyanne McConway has it. We just keep hearing more and more people. Mark Meadows is okay. The vice president is okay. His wife is okay. And Kaylee, sorry Kaylee, now that she watches this, but Kaylee McEnany, she is okay as well. But a lot of people are just starting to go down left and right getting this. Again, it just seems weird. Now, what happened was the president was traveling. He was traveling to New Jersey. He was doing fundraisers, doing events, and they're also thinking that the super spreader of this situation was the Supreme Court nominee. That celebration that happened, they're thinking that was a super spreader start. Now, in the beginning when he was tested, he and Melania quarantined in the White House, and NBD, no big deal, they feel fine, but then they started to not feel well. It is a little scary and it is a little concerned because like when Boris over in the UK, when he got this, it took a few days for the symptoms to show once he was tested, and this seems like it's happening a little bit quickly. So President Trump is not feeling great, and he is now running a fever, as well as Melania has a cough. So they went and upgraded from we're going to do quarantine to we are transferring him to Walter Reed Hospital, which is crazy. Now, a lot of people are speculating on what exactly is going on. I mean, conspiracy theories are going nuts every which way. And look, because it's our government, we can't trust them, and we can't trust big media on either side. I get it. I can't fault any of you for having to question everything. I'm always saying question everything on this channel, right? I totally understand. I'm just praying that everybody is okay. So far, we have a tweet from the president, which I will put up later. The president did tweet last night, and we are hearing that it looks like he is sounding like he is in good spirits, but the fact remains that after being tested positive, symptoms have showed up very, very quickly, where a lot of people are just asymptomatic. Not everybody, but there's a good chunk of people who have it who just don't show symptoms. Remember, the president also, he has, technically he has obesity. I don't think he looks obese, maybe a little overweight, but at this point, it's America who doesn't. That's another thing. Do y'all know how many women I grew up with? Remember in the 90s, right? In the 90s, it was ED central. I would say 75 to 80% of the women I grew up with, maybe even 85, had some form of an eating disorder. No joke, and I'm not exaggerating. That was, unless you were just supernaturally thin, high metabolism, that was on par when it came to the 90s. They used to call it heroin chic. You needed to look like this. Like, it was crazy. And I had one as well, in fact, for many years. Mine was a bit different. Aside from, what you would call the mental disorder of it, I had some physical issues going on that would be, like, literally the physically classic signs of somebody with the A word. I don't know if YouTube's going to get mad if I say it, and that has to do with my histamine disorder, zero appetite all the time, and my body just didn't react to food very well. So a little bit different in my situation. But it still remains the same. And I sit here and I wonder, and I'm like, and here's the thing, women are a lot more complicated with our weight, right? We have hormones. We have all these different things that men don't understand. Men, if you just change for many men, the majority of men, unless you have some sort of health issue, you change your diet, you go work out, you can drop weight really quickly. With women, because of our hormones, it's always going to be different, right? But it's amazing how much we've watched over the last 100 years that women have really, really struggled there, and I wonder why, and I have theories. Maybe one day we will go into that if I can get my channel successful enough, and I will talk about, because I'm one of those women, and I found out that I have a disorder that is, although it's not common, it is a growing issue. And all this stuff and the food and the water, what is this doing to our bodies? What is this doing to our guts? How is this changing us? How is this changing not just our health, but what does our physical health have tied into mental health when everybody nowadays has mental health issues, anxiety, depression? I'm getting off on a tangent. Let's talk about the president's health. So I want to go ahead, guys, and I want to pull up some clips so you can see in real time. The first was from yesterday morning, so that would be October 2nd, from Mark Meadows. And from there, we're going to go into where we were at as of this morning. So let's take a look and let's see what's going on with the president.
And as we look to try to make sure that not only his health and safety and welfare is good, we continue to look at that for all of the American people. He continues to be not only in good spirits, but very energetic. We've talked a number of times this morning. I got the 5 or 6 things that he had tasked me to do, like I do every single morning. And he is certainly wanting to make sure that we stay engaged. I think the other thing that is critically important, the doctors continue to monitor both his health and the health of the First Lady. We'll continue to do that. They'll be glad to provide some updates later today as we look at this. But I think the great thing about this president is not only is he staying committed to working very hard on behalf of the American people. His first question to me this morning is how's the economy doing? How are the stimulus talks going on Capitol Hill? A number of us in the core team of the White House continue to get tested on a daily basis, like we have been, and as we look to that, we're very excited about making sure that not only that the health and safety of the President and the First Lady is addressed, but certainly that we address this battle together as a nation together, and the American people can rest assured that we have a president that is not only on the job, will remain on the job, and I'm optimistic that he'll have a very quick and speedy recovery.
Mark, how would you describe his symptoms, and is he taking hydroxychloroquine?
Well, I'm not going to get into any particular treatment that he may or may not have. He has mild symptoms. As we look at that, the doctor will continue to provide expertise in the residence. He's in the residence now. And in true fashion, he's probably critiquing the way that I'm answering these questions. And I can tell you that a number of us will be reporting back to him on the task at hand.
But what day and time, would you just clear this up, what day and time did you find out that Hope Hicks had tested positive, and did you sit on it until after the president went out to his fundraiser in New Jersey?
Actually, as we look at this, I'm not going to get into the TikTok. I can tell you in terms of Hope Hicks, we discovered that right as the Marine One was taking off yesterday. We actually pulled some of the people that had been traveling and in close contact. The reason why it was reported out, just frankly, is that we had already started the contact tracing just prior to that event. As you know, last night, even in the early hours of this morning, the minute we got a confirmatory test on the president, we felt like it was important to get the news out there at that time, and so that's why we sent out the tweet late, or actually early this morning.
And Mark, are you going to be asking staff members to take additional precautions, Mr. Meadows? Are you going to ask staff members to take additional precautions? And why aren't you wearing a mask right now?
Yeah, so I've obviously been tested. We're hopefully more than 6 feet away, and if there's any concern there from a guidance standpoint, we have protocols in place, and we, when early on when we first started to tackle the battle, we actually did 2 different things in the White House, a number of contingencies as we looked at not only additional testing, but certainly mitigating the risk for social distancing in private meetings and the like. But I think it goes to the broader question is even with a lot of the mitigating factors, Jim, what you have is a virus that is contagious, that certainly continues to be, regardless of whatever protocol we have, that it has the ability to affect everybody. As you know, the president, we keep a pretty wide circle. All of you that have interacted with him know that. And so even with that wide circle around the president, we find that he's having to deal with this like so many millions of other Americans and people around the world have had to do.
But Mr. Meadows,
I can tell you that what we're doing is focusing on the therapeutics, the vaccines, continuing to do that, and that doesn't change.
If I may, Mr.
When did the president I just wanted to ask really quickly, the officials who were on the flight with the president on Wednesday, including Kushner, Scavino, I think Stephen Miller was there, are they all quarantining? Have they been tested?
We've tested all of our core staff, and I can tell you that Mr. Kushner, Mr. Scavino, myself, a number of us have been tested, have come back with negative results, and yet at the same time, I fully expect that as this virus continues to go on, other people in the White House will certainly have a positive test result. And we've got the mitigation plan in place to make sure that the government not only continues to move forward, but the work of the American people continues to move forward. And so even as recent as this morning at a little after 8 o'clock, the president was giving me a number of things to make sure that I get done, and I'm sure that I will actually have those due outs have to be back to him later today. I'm not going to ask. So I wanted to come out and give an update to all of you, so that show the courtesy of giving an update. We'll have future updates. I'll be glad to do that. But any other specifics at this point?
Will we see the president? Will we see the president?
Here in Washington, D.C., and we're looking at the same letter that you are looking at right now. And I think the important line here is from the doctor saying that he's working with a team of experts, and together we'll be making recommendations to the president and the First Lady in regard to next best steps. So it sounds like the physicians already have, if you read between the lines here, a plan in mind of what to do next, and they're going to make that decision with the president and the First Lady. They're going to make some new recommendations to them at some point shortly. So we'll wait and see what those recommendations are. Meanwhile, I've been talking with a former senior administration official today about some of this back and forth over exactly why the president decided to go to New Jersey yesterday, even though a member of his close staff had tested positive at that point. We saw Kayleigh McEnany, the White House press secretary, on the driveway earlier today saying that that was deemed safe by White House operations. But what I'm told is that White House operations in the chain of command reports directly to Mark Meadows, the White House chief of staff. That would have been Mark Meadows' call, not White House operations, to proceed with that trip. So there's a little bit of perhaps some finger pointing here on who did what, but that would have been, according to people who are familiar with this process, that would have been a chief of staff call whether or not to proceed with that trip yesterday, despite what we heard McEnany say that the decision was made by White House operations.
Donald Trump Jr. is here with an update on his father's condition. Don, thanks for joining us. First, we're really sorry about this news. Have you spoken to your father since he was diagnosed, and how is he?
You know, I spoke to him this morning. Obviously he's taking it seriously, but really he's, business as usual with my father. I've known him for a long time. I'm 42 years old. I don't know that I've ever seen him sick. I don't know that I've ever seen him actually have the flu or anything like that. So, he's obviously taking it seriously, but he's a fighter. I know he's still working. I know he was speaking with various senators about the stimulus package today. He's going to take it seriously, but if anyone could beat this, it's going to be him.
So do we have any sense of how long he'll be staying there, or is that unknowable?
It's unknowable. I know they're bringing him to Walter Reed, not for anything in particular other than just to have an abundance of caution for the leader of the free world. So they're going to have him there so they can be under more close observation than they could do under the White House. But he wasn't brought over there, unlike some of the conspiracies I'm seeing out there for anything more than just that, an abundance of caution.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, and by the way, I have no independent detail, but he's the president of the United States. Of course, they're going to want to get him the best medical treatment they possibly can, just prophylactically. So what effect does this have on the work that he's doing, running the country, and on his reelection campaign?
Listen, obviously, I love him on the road for the campaign. That's something that he does so well. He loves that. He feeds off of that. The enthusiasm is very palpable. As it relates to running the free world, I don't think it changes anything. I mean, he's a worker. He's always been a worker, Tucker. For the last few months, when I speak to my father, it's usually after midnight, and he's still in the Oval Office. He's working, whether it's boosting the economy, getting that going again, whether it's dealing with during the crisis. My father's always been a worker. He doesn't sleep much, and he works hard, and he's going to keep fighting. That's what he's going to do right here, right now for the American people. So nothing's going to take a back seat. Obviously, he can't do the public appearances that he'd otherwise be doing. Right now, he's going to take that very seriously, but he's going to be out there. He's going to be working hard. As I mentioned, he's speaking with senators. He just wants to be in the action. That's the way he is. I know Ivanka and Jared tested negative earlier. I tested negative earlier as well, since we were in proximity with him on Tuesday. So the rest of the family seems to be holding up great, which is also good news. And we look forward to sort of letting that incubation period go through and also getting back to work.
So this has been floating around on a pretty wide scale since March, and your dad has been pretty much out there since March. He hasn't been hiding anywhere. He's been talking to people, a lot of people, and doing a lot of big rallies. Here he gets it a month before the election. It's a little weird. How did he get it, do you think?
You know what? I don't know. The reality is, the protocols around my father are pretty amazing. Like, Kimberly got it earlier this summer. And the only reason we knew she actually had it was because we were getting in proximity to him. So literally anyone who's in that close proximity is tested each and every day. So if he can get it, probably anyone can, for better or worse. But, I know they took really extensive protocols and it didn't seem to matter. So I'm not sure where that would have come from or who. But, the reality is this is something that, can spread.
Yep. How's Hope doing? Hope Hicks, his advisor. Who also
she's doing well also. I just texted her earlier to check in on how she's doing. And, sort of like all of those in the sort of, inner circle of the Trump family, just really wants to get back at it, obviously taking it very seriously, wants to be in the game, and they're still going to be working from, wherever they're quarantining. And, again, for an abundance of caution and just looking to get back on the road and get back out there fighting for the American people.
So you haven't said a partisan word. And you're a pretty political guy and not afraid to hold back. You haven't said anything like that in the 3 minutes we've been talking now. And I don't want to bait you into saying things you don't want to say, but some of the reactions have been, outside the bounds of, I would say, even political attacks. Are you able to filter those out?
I'm pretty good at that. I fight pretty hard. I got that gene from the Trump family, but, I think there's a time and a place for all of that. Obviously, you take it personal. I mean, some of the stuff is pretty disgusting, but I've also had people who, I know are not on our side, even people in the media who have reached out, and it seemed at least genuinely sympathetic, and understanding. So, that leads me to believe and, makes me feel, reasonably good about where things are. Some of the stuff is, way below the belt. It's not worth acknowledging that. That's okay. That's, whatever it is, people can decide what that is. Obviously, as a son, as a family member, as an American, it's upsetting. But, it is what it is in this world, I guess, these days.
Yeah, it is what it is. So I assume this, and again, I have to ask you a political question. I assume this changes the debate schedule, right? Or do we know?
You know what? I don't actually know. Obviously, so much of it depends on, when he can get back at it. I imagine that's, 10, 14 days, whatever it may be. I'll defer to the White House doctors on, on the details of that. For me, I did cancel my stuff that I had planned for the weekend. We were doing a big bus tour with Jorge Masvidal around Florida, the UFC fighter, talking to Hispanics around the state, and had a bunch of other events for Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. Basically, I'm going to take a week off, till Tuesday, get tested again then. That's basically the incubation period, as told to me by the White House doctors. If I'm clear again on Tuesday night, I'm going to get back to work and fight.
Yeah. It's the timing of all this is very, I mean, I'm sure, nothing to it, but it's pretty weird. Don Jr., great to see you tonight.
I'm not going to
Thank
get
you.
conspiratorial on that one, but yeah, it's definitely
I'm not a
close
conspiracy
proximity.
guy in the slightest, just noting it's a little strange. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, an update for you now on some new information just coming in from the president's physician, the president, of course, at Walter Reed Medical Center. We're told he's been prescribed the drug remdesivir. You've heard about that as far as the virus has been going on in the headlines this year, one of the treatments. He's gone through his first dose. We're told he is resting comfortably, and he is not on any kind of supplemental oxygen. Dr. Sean Conley says the president's doing very well. And by the way, the president just tweeted the same thing. There were all caps and exclamation points. So tonight, sounds like he is his normal tweeting self.
No time. Let's look at some notes. So I want to go ahead and go over some of the stuff that is being talked about. And again, I have some thoughts on it. So Mark Meadows says, we look out for Trump's health and welfare and the safety of all the American people. He's in good spirits. He's energetic. He's even talked many times to me this morning. He asked me to do 5 or 6 things like he does every single morning. He is certainly wanting to make sure we stay engaged in the situation. And critically important, doctors continue to monitor him and Melania's health, and they will continue to do that. We will provide updates later. He says that when it comes to Trump is great at staying committed to working hard on behalf of the American people. Sorry if I start itching my nose, allergies, I'm trying not to sneeze. But his first question to me was, how's the economy doing? How the stimulus talks on Capitol Hill? I am very happy to hear that he is first asking about stimulus because as we know, that is a priority. It was supposed to be a priority for the American people. It has been a priority for us for months and not for them. So at least we still have the appearance of at least Trump on our side when it comes to that. And it sucks. It's hard and it frustrates me that the media paints Trump as this horrible character, horrible, terrible person, this horrible character, when yes, he's made a lot of mistakes, and yes, he says stuff stupidly, and I don't like everything he does, but he's the only one on both sides that seems to be really pushing for more stimulus, and that bothers me. That's it bothers me. Many of us in the core team of the White House keep getting tested on a continuing basis. We are very excited to make sure that not only his health and safety with the president come first and for the First Lady as well, but that we address this battle as a nation together. Americans can rest assured that our president is on the job and will remain so. I'm optimistic that he will have a quick and speedy recovery. That's awesome. Now, how will he describe his symptoms and is he taking hydroxychloroquine? Not going to go into specifics. Doctors will continue to provide expertise. He's in the residence now in true fashion. He's probably critiquing the way I'm answering these questions. I can tell you that a number of us will be reporting back to him about the tasks he has given us. So he's still working, it looks like, from where he's at, and that's good. It says, now here was kind of a gotcha question, right? What day and time did you find out Hope Hicks had tested positive, and did you sit with that until after the fundraiser on Friday? He says, not going to get in specifics. We found out as Marine One, which I think is one of the planes, was taking off yesterday. We pulled some of the people that were in close contact out. The reason it was reported, frankly, is because it was reported quickly, is because we started contact tracing before that. Even early hours of this morning when we got a confirmation test from the president, we felt it was important to get the news out ASAP. That's why we sent tweets out as of last night or early in the morning. And then he says, somebody asked, is the staff taking precautions and why aren't you wearing a mask? A lot of people are upset that in this interview he was not wearing a mask, and it's like, come on, man. He says, I've been tested and I am standing 6 feet away. We have protocols in place. Early on when we were tackling the virus, we did 2 different things. We looked at additional testing and certain mitigating risks for social distancing for private meetings. Broader question, even with a lot of mitigating factors, what you have is a virus that is contagious and continues to be regardless of our protocol. It is the ability to affect everybody. The president keeps a wide circle. He's having to deal with this like so many other millions of Americans have had to deal with this around the world. What we are doing is focusing on the therapeutics and vaccines, and that does not change. He was asked, the officials who were on the flight, including Kushner, they were quarantined and tested. Are they being quarantined and tested? He says, we've tested all of our staff. A number of us have been tested and come back negative. And at the same time, I fully expect as the virus goes on, others in the White House will certainly have a positive test result, and we will have a plan in place for the government to move forward and work with the American people to move forward. Even this morning, the president was giving me many things to get done, and I'm sure I'll get them done later today. I want to come out and give an update to all of you. He said, and then he said, out of courtesy, I'm wanting to give you all an update as quickly as possible. We'll update more. So that's what Mark Meadows had to say. But then we actually have some of Trump's doctors, and this is what they said. Trump is working with a team of experts, and we will be making recommendations to the President Melania. Physicians already have a plan in mind, and what we do next, we will give the president and the first lady later. And a former senior administrative official for Trump, I asked why did he choose to go to New Jersey, even though many had tested positive before then. And this is where I guess it gets interesting. So I guess it was told that the White House had deemed it safe to go, but that call doesn't come from the White House operations. It comes from Mark Meadows. So there's a little bit of finger pointing at who said what. But that would have been, according to people familiar with the situation, a call that the chief of staff makes, even though Kayleigh McEnany said it was a decision made by the White House. Now, here's the thing. If I have to be I'm going to be very fair. And I know I've done a lot of, the media is being biased against Trump, but let's be honest. The other side is also going to lie sometimes. And it is possible that Kayleigh McEnany is being given the orders to lie about this situation. Maybe she doesn't fully know. I would hate to say she doesn't know being in that position. How could you not? But then again, look at me in situations I've been in, right? I have to be very light in saying that. There are things that have happened to me in my past, even recent past, of things that I didn't know about that you would think that I did. But, that's what happens when sometimes when you're working, you can be isolated, or you can work remotely and not fully have an idea of what's going on. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue from Don Jr., which I thought some of this was really interesting, and I wanted to bring up this specifically because I have some points on this. Don Jr., I spoke to my dad this morning. He's taking it seriously, but it's business as usual with my father. I've known him for a long time, and I've seen him sick with the flu. He's obviously taking this very seriously, but he's a fighter and still looking about stimulus package to senators today. He's going to beat this. So I'm very glad to hear that Trump is still on the stimulus bandwagon. This is good news. He says, do we have a sense of how long he will stay there? He says, well, we don't know. I know he's going to Walter Reed so he can be under better surveillance and abundance of caution with this situation. And we can observe him better than you can in the White House. He wasn't brought over there, like conspiracy theories have said, for any other reason than just that. Now, I'm going to be fair. When it comes to the theories, right? I don't even like to say the word on this channel because you never know what YouTube is going to do. But when it comes to the theories, let's kind of look at this, analyze it, and take it seriously, right? It is possible that he's worse than what we think he is, because we're hearing back and forth reports from Trump supporters. We're hearing that he's okay, mild symptoms, and then we're hearing he has a fever, and that's why he was taken. So which one is it? Because depending on how bad the fever gets, a fever is not necessarily a mild symptom, especially if you have something like the virus. So then he says, do we have a sense of how long he will stay there at Walter Reed? Don Jr. says, we don't know. I know he's going to Walter Reed so he can be under better surveillance and an abundance of caution and observation than in the White House. He wasn't brought over here for the different reasons. And he says, and this is where Tucker Carlson says it makes sense, he's the president. Of course they want him to get the best medical treatment. What effect does this have on his work running the country in re-election? He says, listen, I love him on the road with the campaign. As it relates to running the world, it doesn't change anything. He's a worker, and he's always been a worker. When I speak to my father, he's in the Oval Office working all the time, boosting the economy. He says, and trying to fight the virus. My father has always been a worker who works hard and doesn't sleep much. And that's true. We've heard he only gets like 4 or 6 hours a night. There are some people that can do that. They're called super sleepers. I'm of the opposite. I need a good 8 to 10 hours or I don't function. But then again, I've never been healthy my whole life, and it probably has to do with my wonky immune system. So I'm hoping as I get better, maybe that's something that can change around. Maybe I can be a super sleeper, and then I'll just make more videos for you guys. I can build the channel quicker. I can give more gift cards. Let's do it. Let's make me a super sleeper. Let's all get rich. It doesn't change anything. He's a worker. He's always been a worker. When I speak to my father, he's working in the Oval Office. Boosting the economy, the virus. My father has always been a worker who works hard and doesn't sleep much. He will keep fighting for the American people. Nothing will take a back seat to that. He can't do public appearances because he's taking this very seriously, but he's working hard, and his kids, including me, have all tested negative. Rest of the family is safe, and we are all doing great. Looking forward to that incubation period being done. Now, he says, so this has been floating around for a while, since March, the virus. Your dad has been out here since March, and he's not hiding. He's out there talking to people, doing rallies, events. Now he gets it before the election. It's weird. How did he get it? Again, kind of like what I was saying. He says, the reality is I don't know. The protocols are amazing around my father. Anyone in that close proximity is tested each and every day. If he can get it, anyone can. It's extensive protocols they have, so we don't know where it came from. On the one hand, the timing does look weird, but on the other hand, when it comes to an illness or a virus, it's going to come and it's going to spread as it does, and it can be, there's a lot of uncertainty or inconsistency. That being said, this would not be the first time. If I were to theorize, it's not the first time that our government has just created some health issue and then put it out to the people, the Tuskegee Airmen. Like, look at all the things that have been done to minorities in the past where the government goes and does horrible types of testing on them for different things they've created or different things that they want to know about and they don't tell them. So, yeah, I think, unfortunately, the question is valid because we live in a crazy world with a crazy government. So, he says, this has been floating around a while since March. He goes, okay, so how's Hope doing? Hope Hicks, who's the one that they think first got it and has been spreading it. She's doing well. I texted her to check in. The inner circle of the Trump family wants to get back to work, and we are taking this very seriously, and we will continue to work during quarantine. We are in a lot of caution, though. And he says, you haven't said a partisan word in this interview. Some of the reactions have been outside of the rounds of political attacks, meaning people they've been wishing harm in the end for Melania and Trump, which, as I've said before, makes me incredibly sad. And so he says, when it comes to that, are you able to filter those things out? He says, I got the fight gene in me from the Trump family. Obviously, some of it you take personal. And I know a lot of people aren't on our side in the media. Some are sympathetic and understanding, and that's great. So it makes me feel good when that happens. Some is way below the belt and not even worth acknowledging. People can decide what that is. As a family member, a son and an American, it's upsetting, but that's how this world works now. Sorry, Don Jr., but you were absolutely correct. I agree with you, boo. Says, I assume this changes the debate schedule, right? Or do we know? He says, I don't actually know. Some of it depends on when we can get back at it. There's a 10 to 14 day period right now for the incubation and for when it comes to my father getting out. We think it could take 10 to 14 days, but I'll defer to White House doctors. I did cancel all my stuff this weekend, all my events. I'm taking a week off getting tested, and we're going to do that throughout the incubation period. If I'm clear again, then I'll get back to work and we'll continue to fight. And then, once again, he says the timing is suspect. Can't disagree there. Now, the last thing we have, and this is from this morning, the president is taking remdesivir. So apparently he is taking one of the new drugs. He's already taken his first dose. He's resting comfortably, and physicians say he is doing very well. Now, he's not having to be on oxygen, which is fantastic, but this is still in trials. So our president is using himself as a guinea pig to see if this will help the American people, which I don't care who you are. I think that's good, and I think that's inspiring that he's putting himself on the line to see if this can be of help to the American people. Kudos to him. And I'm going to leave off with this, and I've talked about this a little bit already, but I want to go ahead and say this again. I want to do my best to encourage everybody. Let's not wish harm on people. Here's the thing. I'm not trying to stand on a soapbox and act like I have a moral high ground. I don't want to be Nancy Pelosi. I don't want to be the extreme liberals at the top, right? Who act like they're high and mighty, morally superior, and then are caught doing awful, shady, horrible things or lie all the time. And they're just using things for a narrative when they don't really care. Like, look at all the things Biden has said about minorities, but now he acts like he cares so much. It really bothers me. But with that being said, it makes me incredibly sad to see so many people fall prey to the media narratives. And I've seen people get vicious wishing the worst for Melania and Trump. If you're going to be a party that says you're kind, tolerant, and loving, my opinion is do that. Act in that manner. I don't care if you're mad at them. Look, there are people in my life that have literally tried to kill me or had my worst interest. And I don't wish death on them. I don't wish harm on them or anybody. I don't want them around me, but it doesn't mean I wish them ill will. And I feel like as a society, as a country, we are better than that. Do not let the media manipulate you to say otherwise. That's just my opinion. I feel like the more that we can pray for the best intentions of one another, the better this country will be. The better we will be as people. The better that we can create solutions to have better, healthier, more productive, happy lives. And isn't that like the whole point in trying to make positive changes on this planet, which is what I'm all about. So I just want to be a encouraging voice to not do that. Obviously, it's your choice. You can do whatever you want. I'm not even saying you're wrong if you do that, but I am saying it doesn't help create positive solutions, and let's work towards that, because why would you want to help be part of the destruction? The other thing is, because I've heard this argument, and I want to just touch on this briefly, I've heard people say, yeah, but in the 2016 election, clearly something was wrong with Hillary, and people wished harm and this and that on her. I hate Hillary. I can't stand her. And in 2016, I stood up for her as well. And I got a lot of flack from people about it. And I heard, but she's done this and this and this, so it's not that big a deal that we wish harm on her. I'm like, don't wish harm on anybody. And when I saw Hillary struggling, my heart went out to her, even though I don't like her, even though I think she's done some horrible things to this country. She's done horrible things to the people of Haiti. not built their homes when they had that hurricane, and took a ton of money. She's done horrible things. But I know what it is to have your health fail and how to have your body fail. And to do that, I also know what that is to do that in front of a lot of people and a lot of eyes on you of people who don't understand. And even though they didn't come right out and say anything was wrong with her, they still don't admit that. It's clear something was, and my heart went out to her. And I wish we could get our compassion and empathy back. Because the media has convinced us if you are compassionate or empathetic, unless it is something that they tell you is okay to do, then you are an awful person. And I'm never going to submit to that. Okay, guys, if you like this video, to help up my channel, please give me a big thumbs up and like the video, subscribe, hit notifications so you can be notified daily what is coming to the pipeline for you and your stimulus money. Comment, sound off. The more comments you leave, the more you help me build my channel quickly, because as you guys know, I literally yesterday left my former channel and I have to completely rebuild, and I'm so grateful to have the people that I have here and to have you guys. So if you continue to help me so I can get monetized, start doing gift card giveaways, I would be so grateful. And guys, please share this content with as many people that you know are struggling right now. People on unemployment, waiting for stimulus checks, SBA lending grant issues, bill issues, everything in between. I have tons of tools and tons of resources to help you guys, and I would love to help as many people as possible. Okay, guys, I'm going to end this here for now. Thank you so much for hearing my insight. This has been Katie's insight into what is going on. And until probably tomorrow's videos, I will have more insight and information for you on where we're at with stimulus, the government, and the world, and what we can expect. Okay, take care, guys.